What are we going to talk about today?
Today, we're going to talk about annoying women.
Oh, it's impossible.
It's impossible. Thank you so much for joining us again on Second Act TV. Once again, I want to welcome back Robert Manni, the author of the Guide to Love, and the host of Guys Guy Radio and TV right here on YouTube. Robert, thanks for being here again.
My pleasure, Silka. What are we going to talk about today?
Today, we're going to talk about annoying women.
Oh, it's impossible.
No, I ran across another great article. We need to get Robert's opinion on this. This is a female writer, and she did a survey. She did a survey where she asked a whole bunch of men what annoys them about women. What are the top things that they find annoying? I thought that's what we need to know. Let's get right to it here. The number one, she said this is the top thing, made the top of the list, is jealousy and obsessiveness, that this is something that men just consider intolerable.
It can be from either side. This one, and most of these that we're going to go through can go either way.
Yeah.
But the issue of jealousy, that can be suffocating in a relationship because it's always based on somebody's past and their fear, and they're projecting it on you. And do they have reason? If they have reason to be jealous, that's one thing. If they don't, hearing it all the time can be just draining, because you start to wonder what is the person's motivation behind what they're saying to you, how they're behaving. I think we talked about this on another show where somebody used to call me up right before bedtime all the time, and I was like,
Yes.
is this because you want to say goodnight to me, or you want to see if I'm in bed by myself here? And it gets you thinking. It gets you thinking, and that's what jealousy can do. And it makes you walk on eggshells a little bit with the relationship. If you're a guy, you can never mention another woman, whether it's at work or elsewhere, and you feel very isolated and controlled to a bit, and uncomfortable. The jealousy is just fear. That's all it is, and it's no good in a relationship. So if you have these apprehension, if you have concerns about your partner, put them on the table. Either take your partner's word or not. But if you're going to be just jealous all the time, you're only hurting yourself, and you're hurting the relationship too.
The other thing is, and I think we talked about that before, is somebody who is really focused in on jealousy or brings that up a lot. There's a reason. Sometimes it's projection. It's almost like for the man to think, well, why, should I be worried here? Because you project that. Yeah, it's a horrible emotion, and it's actually something. And I said this before too, that I've struggled with because of my past stuff. So if you feel like that, if you have that nagging jealousy all the time, you really need to go deep and what is it with me, not necessarily with him.
And listen, and no, it's not necessarily the guy is without fault in a lot of circumstances. They could be flirty.
Right.
And they might like to have fun, like might be being flirty, and sometimes the woman doesn't appreciate that. If you're with a woman who's pretty cool and doesn't have a problem with you having women friends, or socializing with women at work and all of that, that's great. But respect that, because you're being given a gift. You're being respected. So return that respect to your partner for having the maturity to be able to give you a long leash on that, and don't break that trust.
Well, that's a whole other segment on its own.
Right.
Can men and women be friends? We talked about that. I'll link to it. Well, number two here, nosy, that men are bothered by women who constantly intrude, always want to know everything, and constantly ask questions. So I guess the difference is this isn't a matter of communicating. This is a matter of butting in and asking about things that really aren't maybe any of your business.
Yeah. Or the other thing is the first thing that came to mind was like the phone. Like, do they check your phone and snooping around? That's not cool. I mean, it's the same thing. It's a jealousy. It's a fear. It's an insecure behavior. If you have a question about something, you can ask about it, but you don't have to know every detail about everything, because there's no magic then to the relationship. You have to have your own lives and bring something collectively to the table. to have a great relationship. If one person, maybe they don't have that much going on, so they're constantly trying to find out what you're doing and living vicariously through that, that can come back to bite you a little bit. People need to be independent, whether it's a male or a female. They need their independence. They need to have their own lives and want to bring things to share together to make the relationship successful. In my opinion, it's not going to, it's a lose-lose for the relationship, in my opinion, because they could misinterpret things. You have to have your own private stuff.
Yeah, no, agreed. And again, if you find yourself, having those tendencies, think about, what if this was done to you? I mean, there's nothing more annoying to me than somebody who's nosy. It just drives me crazy. And if you put it in those terms, then maybe you see what, yeah, you know what, I am being annoying. Number 3 here, drama. How many times have we heard drama? Men hate drama. But when women turn every situation into a major problem and make mountains out of molehills.
Well, this is another one where it's, I don't want to blame women for drama, because there's a lot of guys who are drama queens too, especially nowadays, because everybody has different trigger issues. So I think if you're with somebody who goes into a drama phase, you have to figure out, okay, what are the triggers? What are the issues that this person gets dramatic? If they're going into drama over everything, then you've got an issue. Then you've got a problem on your hands. You have to ask yourself, is this relationship bringing me joy? But if there's certain things that create drama, you say, okay, what is it about what I'm doing that's driving this person crazy right now and making them get into drama? Or what's making me get into drama? I'll give you an example. When we go to the airport, someplace like that, I traveled for business for years and years and years. I'm early all the time because I know what can happen with travel. My wife and my son we're running, literally always running through the airport in foreign countries. And it's like, I don't like that. And I get very upset when that happens, because I like to sit there and sit in the lounge and open up a book or whatever, and like have a little beverage and then get on the plane. Anything I can bring the creature comforts to the airport. For me, they live differently, and it drives me nuts. And I get dramatic when that happens. So everybody has their triggers. It's just you have to be paying attention to, okay, what is it that I do that drives my partner crazy, and what is it that she does that drives me crazy? Because I don't think, if it's all drama, again, then you've got a bad relationship. But if there's certain instances, pay attention.
Yeah. I sometimes get tired of the men going, no drama, no drama. Well, what do they want? Somebody with no feelings. It really, I think the whole drama thing has just, the pendulum has, shifted there to where what is drama? But you hear that all the time. Are you somebody who cries a lot? Do you just get upset about every little thing? Yeah, that's really annoying. But I think you made a really good point. Maybe there's something behind the drama, and we need to really understand what's going on. So here's another one. Needy. Women who need attention all the time are never satisfied. Nothing men do is good enough, and they'll never feel loved and fulfilled. So if you're needy, what they say here, women are both boring, high maintenance, and inconvenient if you're needy.
That seems a bit harsh. I mean, there is a balance. Sometimes in the relationship, you can find one person's kind of on the needy, and there's always a scale for these things. If somebody's a little bit needy and the other person is like a people pleaser, I have a couple in mind where they're perfect together, because one's a little bit needy and the other one's that wants to always please. They get together, it works out great. In other instances, if somebody's always needy and the other person's kind of very independent, that may not work out. So you have to kind of take the temperature of the relationships and say, on the needy scale, where am I and where is my partner, and does it fit?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the neediness that what gets so annoying about it is need for attention, constant need for attention, or some sort of compliments, or that I think gets really annoying. Here's a interesting one. I haven't heard this word in a long time. Belittling. That ladies who feel the need to constantly criticize are completely degrading, that they never recognize their companions' good qualities, and they gripe all the time, even in public, and that is just very annoying.
Well, two parts of that. One, in public that's a no. That's bad. If your partner starts belittling you in public, belittling you in public, start looking elsewhere, in my opinion. That's a no go. Otherwise, I think a lot of times women invest a lot of emotion and care in the relationship, and they want it to be as good as it can possibly be. And sometimes because of that, they come across as critical and critical of you, meaning the guys, because they want things to be you to be as good as you can be, and they want
Mhm.
the relationship to be as good as it can be. That is understandable if you take a step back and say, okay. However, sometimes the particular point outs become very small and too many of them, and it can be draining. And it's like, you better be balancing that with some good things.
Yeah.
Like, I like the way you do this. I like the way you do that. Because if you're going to be micromanage and pick out all the little things, the toothpaste cap, or,
Mm.
which fork goes in which drawer, it's endless. The
Yeah.
minutia that we can get into, it's not going to work. You have to pick your battles, start with the big stuff, work your way down to the smaller stuff. And if your guy's amenable to evolving, that's a really good thing. But also, you don't want the perfect partner. You want somebody who you can laugh with and be fun with, and who's different. And one other thing, if you're a guy, never the woman can belittle you on stuff in private and pick out things. Don't do it. Don't think it works the same way. It
Good
doesn't.
point. Good.
You
Yeah.
better be
Very.
able to take it, and that's it. And then
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
you deal with it is how you deal with it, but don't dish it out because it's not
There's
going to go well. And that's just
that.
the way it is, like it or not, fellas.
And I can't say you're not wrong, as Trevor would say. You're not wrong. Here, this one leads right into that too. Fault finding, sort of like belittling, I suppose. I suppose women who see fault in everything because, of course, they're the only ones who can do anything right. They talk bad about other people all the time and spend hours detailing other people's faults. Well, the way he describes it here, that's really annoying. Yeah, fault finding. I think it's probably more like a negative, bringing negativity all the time.
Yeah, I think you're right, Silka. I think that's when you find all the negative stuff out there in the world, and there's plenty to go around, it becomes tiring after a while. You have to
Yeah.
stop and smell the flowers and say, okay, what am I thankful for? As long as we know there's a lot of bad stuff out there, and we're learning more and more bad stuff, but there's a lot of good stuff too. And I think if
Mhm.
we can be beacons of the good stuff, we can make every world and relationships better. I think we have to catch ourselves, because once we start doing that with other people, it just becomes you see everything as negative. And then when you bring it into the relationship, like the previous point, then you start pointing out all the things that are
Yeah.
wrong with your partner. And then what's next? Then you have to look in the mirror and say, how about me?
Yeah.
Have I ever?
This one's interesting. Dismissing. Women who dismiss their partner's feelings bring a lot of distress to the relationship. That when a man feels like he's being misinterpreted or ignored, his mood gets worse and he distances himself.
Yeah, that's an important one, because I think from what we've discussed and what I've discussed with a lot of relationship experts on my show is that, women want men to be open to
Yeah.
expressing themselves and sharing their feelings without turning into blubberpuss about the whole thing. We don't want guys crying at watching General Hospital or something. But so when they start to reveal their feelings, if you dismiss them, what good is that doing your relationship? I mean, you can disagree with how somebody feels or how somebody thinks, which are two different things, by the way, but dismissing them is really not good for the relationship, because you're
Mhm.
dismissing your partner's self-worth. And that how is that helping the relationship? I think with all of these things, we have to think about, how does my behavior help the relationship? Does
Mhm.
nagging help it? Does being jealous help it? Does it help me? Probably the answer to all of these is like, no. These are
No.
things, these are red lights, for self red lights, self
Mhm.
caution lights, yellow lights, whatever, that we
Yeah.
need to be aware of to make the relationships work.
Absolutely great point. And the other thing with dismissing, this is a two-edged sword, really. Women want men to show their feelings, but if they do, then do they really? That's again a whole other conversation on its own, that we can maybe go down the rabbit hole another time. Lastly, here, the extreme talkers. that a female tendency is to talk repeatedly about matters that they don't feel have been resolved, and men typically respond by shutting down. So talk, 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 talk.
Well, I've been fortunate in all my relationships. I've never been with a chatty Cathy type of personality. And I'm not, believe it or not, I'm not that way normally. But if I get going, I get going. And I think, you have to, it's got to be a vibe thing. When you're picking your partner, if they talk all the time and you don't like listening all the time, then why are you with this person?
Mm-hmm.
How does that work for you? Because you can't change somebody's personality. If they're talkative, you're not going to
Mm-hmm.
tell them don't talk so much. They're going to be resentful of that. And you
Mm-hmm.
don't want, that's not going to help the relationship either. So if somebody's super talkative and you don't like listening to them, question mark, why are you
Right.
in this relationship?
Yeah.
I mean,
Excellent point.
you're not going to change the person if they're talkative, if they're an adult over
Exactly.
50. I mean, that's the way they are.
Excellent point, because I thought the same thing when I read this. Because what do what advice would I give a woman? It's like, well, shut up. But if that's you, that's you. I have a lot of girlfriends that talk a lot, and they're never going to change. So it's a matter of, does this annoy you to the extent where you just can't be with this person? Well, we're coming to the end. What haven't we discussed? What do you want to add here?
One point to the somebody who talks too much,
Mm-hmm.
just be aware if you're a big talker and see how it vibes with your partner. And if you're a guy and if the woman just talks all the time and that's her personality, then you have to determine, is this, and for all of these things, does this work for me?
Mm-hmm.
And does this work for this other person? Are we making each other happy? Are we finding joy here? Are we making everything better? And so many relationships, I think, as a parting thought, are people are forcing their try to make their relationships work when they don't work. I'm not saying just, there's never going to be issues that
Yeah.
can be worked through, but sometimes it's just not a good fit.
It's not good. I agree with you. I agree with you. Good stuff to think about. Some of it is obvious, some is not, but always gives us something to think about and hopefully better ourselves, like you said. Well, Robert, as always, I will link to all of your information, to your book, to your radio show, to UK Health Radio, now all over the world. And I look forward to seeing you again soon on Second Act TV.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Silka.